Hello, everyone. It is Brenda here for Stamplicity, and welcome to What's Up Wednesday. All right, so tonight we are going to explore the Stamperia Junk Journal collections. All right, there are two different types, which I'm going to go through in a second. We've had a few of you asking, if we could show you what can be done with this. So this is going to be kind of a two-parter. And I'm going to do this evening, I'm going to show you both kind of the larger one and the smaller one. And then I'm going to pass this off to Michelle. And in a few weeks, a time for her mixed media mashup, I'm going to let her play around with this, and then she can do true junk journaling and art journaling pages with it. For me, I'm going to kind of just concentrate on card making. All right. So that's what we're going to do this evening. I want to show you how wonderful these books are. All right, now before we get started, I'm going to talk about the different sizes here. All right, so there are two that normally come out with any type of collection from Stamperia. One will be the larger format, which is the junk journal. This one here, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to show you all the wonderful stuff that you get in here. All right. So this one is going to have background papers, it's going to have stickers, it's going to have cutouts, and it's intended for art journaling and card making. All right. So when we flip through this, I'm just going to just show you this one. This one is called Winter Magic. Lovely palette on this one with the lovely pastels and such. But you can see the pattern papers, and the papers are double-sided. And this is, I'm going to grab my ruler because this is not 8.5 by 11. It is UK sizing. All right. So we are looking at 8.25 by 11.75. So I believe that's an A4 sizing, according to the UK. All right. So beautiful pattern papers, lots of texture and detail on there. All right. So those are just some of them. Then we're going to get into this page here, and these are stickers. All right. So make sure it's on camera. So they're just peel and stick, as you can see there. All right. So peel and stick. And you're going to get a few pages of those. And then you're going to get punch outs. All right. So these are perforated. They got a nice weight to them. You're going to punch them out, and this becomes your ephemera. And what I love about their ephemera is double-sided. And why does that matter? Well, sometimes when you're working on a project, like let's just talk about this little girl that's skating here. And you've just done your layout, and whether it be a card, a journal page, or even a scrapbook page, and you've laid out your background and such, and then you want to put her on, but then you realize, you know what, I want her facing the other way. I love the fact that you can just punch her out and then she's facing the other way. All right. So which is awesome. All right. So I love that they do that. So you're going to get a few pages of those die cut ephemeras. Then we're going back to pattern papers. All right. So again, you're going to have double-sided pattern papers. I love the fact that there are these 3x3s. 4x4s, 3.5 by 3.5. What are they? 3.5 by 3.5. Those are great card making toppers. And again, they're double-sided as well. So one is more detailed in terms of the imagery. The other one's more subdued that you can use as a layering piece. More stickers. All right. So you're going to get some more stickers. So 2 more pages, more pattern paper. All right. Then you're going to have more punch out ephemera, and these are kind of those wonderful little details that you can add. This is a little envelope you can create. You've got tags and labels, and they all punch out. And then you even have more of those with little sentiments. Again, these are all double-sided, not so much the sentiments. These ones are not, they have a pattern on the back. Then you have another pattern paper in here. These are postcards, which make great layering elements in all the different sizes. So you do have to trim those ones out. And then more pattern paper. So you can see that this is quite the extensive a junk journal book. All right. So lots of goodness in this. So you can see how you can continue creating with this. If you are doing junk journaling, lots of elements to use. If you're making card making, lots of elements to use in your journals. You could go on and on with this. All right. So even scrapbooking, you're going to be able to use. I know this is not a size of a 12 by 12, but you can definitely use bits and pieces, layer and all that to create some really wonderful layouts with this. All right. So that is the junk journal. All right. And then the Stamperia started coming out with these smaller ones, and these are called focus points. And this one only has backgrounds and cutout pages for, it says junk journaling, but honestly, you can use this for card making and such. All right. So again, this one is not going to be quite as extensive as this. The elements in this one, the punch out elements, are going to be larger. All right. So they work hand in hand. All right. Now this one here is for the White Christmas collection. I just picked two different themes. All right. Because I wanted to play with both of them and I couldn't make up my mind. So I just picked one from Winter Magic and one from White Christmas. All right. So lovely background papers. These measure, just for your reference, 5 and I'm going to say 5. I'm going to say 5 3/4. It's a little bit bigger than 5 3/4. By 8 1/4. All right. So nice sizing. But lovely pattern papers. Again, beautiful. This is a beautiful collection, this White Christmas. So you can see. So you're going to get quite a lot of pattern papers in here. You are going to get those little cut aparts that I love as well. You will have to cut them out, but they're rectangles. All right, then you got the little square ones as well. So really great for card making as well, or those kind of focal points that you want to put on your journal pages. And then you're going to get the cutouts. Now, you can see there's larger elements. You've got that lovely large bench in there, but some of the elements are lovely, but everything's going to be proportioned. So those pillows are going to fit nicely on that bench. And again, they're double-sided. We've got, large Christmas trees. You've got the little decorations as well. I love these little polar bears cozied up, and you're getting different sizings of them as well, which is lovely. You've got the little pony there. You got snowflakes. That girl, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. You've got some of the little farm animals there that you can see that you can really build your sceneries with this one here, where you got the table, you got the chair. All these little elements are going to be proportioned to that table and make a nice scene. All right. So then you're going to have some tags, some sentiments and such. And then in the back here, you just have a little folder here that you can put your little extras in and such. And again, you can use that on your journal page as well as a pocket. All right. So much goodness in these books. All right. So this is quite the extensive one. This one here this one becomes a little overwhelming. You might want to do this one. All right. So, but I'm going to use both. I'm going to show you how quick and simple it is to make cards with this. And again, then we'll shift this over to Michelle, and in a few weeks' time, she can play around with this and do an art journal page from each of them to show you how easy it is to create with this. All right. So kind of a two-parter. All right. But we do have a time gap in between. All right. Now, when we were at the show in Indianapolis, one of their make and takes for Stamperia was using the Junk Journal Focus Point book, all right, to make quick and simple cards. This is my card here. All right, so I've used the elements. I created this lovely scenery with that Christmas tree. I love the little picture, the portrait of the polar bears. We've got the pillow and the little hot chocolate. So I've created this lovely little scene. This is a 5x7 card. So really quite an extensive card, but easy to build. I mean, this was not hard. This honestly took less than 2 minutes to create. All right. Now, I will tell you, when we do these make and takes with companies when we're at a show, it is called make and take frenzy. Basically you we're there for like 2.5 hours, I think, and you hop from one table to the next table, and each table is a different vendor. So we hopped to the Stamperia, but we knew we had so many other vendors and make and takes to do that you don't want to dedicate too much time to each of the make and takes here. You want to get your project done and move on. All right. It is a frenzy. It's very stressful. So literally it took me 2 minutes. All right. The card base was already made for us. They did have the pattern papers already trimmed down to size. Everything else was on us in terms of how we wanted to decorate our card fronts. All right. They provided ink. So we did some inking. All right. So yes, I even inked the edges, and then we just used the books and punched out scenery. So this one's mine here. So again, just used a subtle background with a little bit of script in the background. Use that beautiful Christmas tree, that large one. I inked the edges there, and then I just kind of built my scenery around there. All right, we made this look like it's in the corner of a living room, basically. All right, so peace and silence is a little sentiment that I chose. Really quick and simple. Honestly, less than 2 minutes. All right. So, and then this is Michelle's. All right. So Michelle, she took a double background here. She even did some stenciling in the background, some ink blending in the background. So she's got a pattern paper in the background. Then she used a white layer. She's added a little ink and essentially, I swear, less than 2 minutes to create this. And then she built up. She took that beautiful little girl there that's holding the bunny, put another little bunny by the feet, popped them up, added some snowflakes, and hold this moment was the little sentiment she chose. Less than 2 minutes. I promise you, we did not spend because we had so many other make and takes to do, but really, really simple. So let's show you how quick and simple with these. I'm going to start with the focus. Yeah, I'm going to start with the focus points here. And I am just going to literally take my first paper. I'm going to rip that out. Now you're going to do a little better job than I did ripping that out because I was not good there. I was not. Now, having said that, yep, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to do 4 cards. All right. So let's do that. And I like those little cut aparts. So which one do I want to do? Well, let's do one of these. All right. So, well, okay. Yeah, let's do that. Now I'm going to make A2 cards. All right. So if you know me, I never put anything on a card base. All right. I just work on card fronts. So I have an A2 card front here. And I'm just going to start with white paper. All right. White cardstock. All right. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and let's go to this. All right. So, all right, I'm going to do this one first. And do I want the water? I think I just want the mountains there. All right. So I'm going to cut this again, we're going to cut this down to an A2 sizing. So because my base is 4¼ by 5½, I'm going to cut this down by 1/4 of an inch on both the horizontal and the vertical. So we're going to make this 4 by 5¼ All right, so easy peasy. And I'm going to cut off this one here, this side. All right. Okay, now save these pieces. You never know when you need these offcuts, so I'm just going to put them to the side. So we've got this lovely pattern paper now. All right, so now I want to ink this. So let me just grab my ink blending. I'm not very prepared this evening, guys. I have that's all I have is those books here. That's all. All right, so all right, so I'm just going to grab a brown ink. I think that's probably one that's going to work with both these. So brown ink, and I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges. Now, I could rough this up if I wanted to. This one I'm going to leave straight edge, smooth, but I am going to give it a little inking. All right. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this on. Now, maybe I should have used a cream base, but that's okay. I can always ink the edges. So let's go ahead and glue this on. All right, so we'll just frame that in there. Okay, card front, ready to go. All right, so I'm going to put that to the side. Let's build a few more card fronts here. All right, so I'm just going to grab some card fronts here. All right, and let's go with this lovely scenery here now. Because I'm going to make this into a vertical card because that's the way the pattern is going to go, think I'm going to grab here and then concentrate these kind of birch trees on the left-hand side. So it gives me some space to build something on this side. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut this one here, and I never get rid of all these extra little bits that are coming off because you're going to be able to use them. All right. You're going to be able to use them. Now, you can use these for the inside of the cards. Like this would be beautiful in the inside of the card. And maybe that's what I'll do. But look how beautiful that is when it's trimmed down. That is a beautiful background. So let's go ahead and ink the edges of this one. And I could have roughed this one up as well, but I did not because I started inking. All right, and let's get this on our card front. Actually, I don't mind that white. It actually creates a nice contrast. All right, so that's our second card front. All right, now let's go back to what I have here. All right, we have the water. This reminds me of Lake Louise. But you know what? This is lovely on the background. And then this here, like, look at that. I mean, that is beautiful. So I know what I'm going to do with this one, just to show you what you can do with these offcuts. So I'm going to save this one I'm going to save this one. Let's just put this on here. I'm going to just cut this down. This is a nice subtle base. All right, so let's do this one. This one I'm going to distress the edges. And when I mean distress the edges, I'm going to take my scissors because I don't know where my paper distress tool is. It's somewhere in my studio. This Stamperia paper is nice and thick, and take a look. It is white core, and it distresses beautifully, and it does make a bit of a mess, as you can see the paper fibers on here, but we just wipe them onto the floor. And then the cats track them around everywhere. So for this one here, I don't think I want to ink the edges on this one here. This one seems to be a smaller A2 panel. Yeah, this one's 4 1/8. All right, let's put it on this one here. There we go. I like the white on there, so I'm not going to ink this one. All right, so just a reminder, we've only used 2 pattern papers from the Focus Point Junk Journal book. All right, and that is my third card front that I have. All right, and then let's do this one here. So because this was the offcut from the bottom of this paper here, I love the pattern on here. And we're going to go ahead and coordinate it with another pattern, but we're going to do an easel card. All right, so all right, so this one I need to do my card base for. So I just have a piece of white cardstock here. We're going to cut this in half at 5 1/2. I love making easel cards. They have the wow factor. Um, without all that effort, just people go, whoa, that's amazing. It's really simple to make. All right, so we have a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 piece of cardstock now. We're going to rotate that, and I'm going to score it in half. So this gives us our A2 card base. All right, so we scored at 4 1/4. And then on the front panel here, I'm going to score at 2 1/8, which is half. All right, that is basically how you make an easel card. All right, you're going to take your card base and then you're going to score the front panel in half. All right, so even if you're working on a 6 by 6, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4, 4 by 4, whatever that front panel is, you're going to just score it in half. Easy peasy. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to grab my bone folder. We're going to fold this. And then that center we're going to fold as well. So I always make sure that it doesn't go past that center score line. Otherwise, it's not going to fold properly. But all right. And that now becomes our easel. All right. So now this piece here is what I want to use on here. So we've got that lovely, I'm wondering if I should have done this. I'm going to do this as a square. I just don't want to waste this. That's 3. So you know what? I'm putting this aside. We're gonna do another easel card. I'm gonna make this into a square card, guys. So let's just redo that. All right, so I'm gonna start with another 8.5 by 11. If you have a 12 by 12, you could definitely do that as well. I'm gonna make this into a 5 by 5 card. So we got to go this way. 5.5, 5.5. I can do 5 3/4. No, 5.5 and 5.5. That's 11. 5.5. All right, so this is a 5.5 by 5.5 card. So I've taken my 8.5 by 11 paper, put it in vertically, cut it at 5.5, and then I'm going to rotate it. We're going to score it in half, which is 5.5, and then we're going to score that front panel in half, which is 2 3/4. If I do the math properly. All right. And this is going to give me my easel card, and I'm not going to waste so much of that lovely pattern. All right, so let's fold this. We're going to fold that in half. And I'm going to fold this one here, making sure it doesn't go past the score line. And if it does go past the score line, just shimmy it up so that it doesn't. All right. All right. So we've got great score lines there. All right. So now I'm going to take this piece here, and now it's going to fit lovely. Now I love that tree. So what I'm going to do is this is 2 3/4. We're going to trim this down to 2.5 by 4 1/4. So I'm going to take just a little bit off the top here. And a little bit off the bottom. All right, so that becomes 2.5. And then we have to do 5 1/4. Now, because I wasn't very nice when I ripped this, well, actually, I think I'm okay. So then this is going to be 5 1/4. All right, and I've actually really centered that scenery really nicely. And honestly, I'm not very sad about these little pieces, all right? Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to ink this one only because it kind of had a little tattered edge there because I wasn't gentle. Okay, and now this is going to go right on there. Look how beautiful that is. Love it. Okay, now with this being an easel card, we do need a little piece on the inside. And these little pieces here, you could mat on cardstock if you want. I'm not going to take the time to mat on cardstock, but you definitely could. That would be another layer. All right, so now we want a piece that's going to coordinate nicely here. So I'm going to go back to our lovely little book here, and let's find a piece that's going to coordinate nicely at the bottom. Now this piece, which is the back of the front cover, would be lovely. It's going to just kind of continue that little scenery. So I think that's probably what I'm going to use, but I'm going to see what my other options are. I am going to say yes. I'm going to just stop looking because I do love that one. All right. So I love the fact that they take advantage of the beautiful inside cover. All right. So this is 5.5 by 5.5. So we are going to trim that to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And that's going to give us a nice little white edge around. And again, now you have another little piece here that you can use. Again, you can use it for the inside of a A2 card. Let's ink these really quickly, the sides. And then let's just add some elements on these cards, all right? So what are we in here? We are here at 24 minutes, all right? So honestly, I know there was a little bit of an introduction, but within 15 minutes, I have 4 card fronts ready to go, one being an interactive easel card. All right, so this is going to get framed into here. All right. All right, now if you wanted to, you could definitely put, if you wanted to use this piece here, you definitely could, just to create a little back on there. You can do that. I'm not going to bother, but all right. So we have 4 cards ready to go. All right. Now we're going to go back to our little book here, and I'm going to skip past the, oh, you know what? I was going to use one of these. Haha, silly me. Which one do I want to use? Well, I'm going to keep this handy, because, oh, look how beautiful that side is. I'm going to keep this handy just because I believe I'm going to put it on either this one or this one. But let me just, I'm going to go into here now and pick elements here. All right. So now we've got the punch out elements. All right. So now it's going to be the hard decision of what we want to do. And yeah, it's going to be, oh my God, there's too much goodness here. Okay, let's let's start at 1 here. And all right, I'm gonna go with this bench here. All right, let's punch this one out. I think this is gonna fit in an A2 card nicely. I'm not gonna overthink this. We're just gonna do, oh, look at how awesome that is. All right, do we want to put that in the mountains? No, let's put this one on here. All right, so that, look how awesome that fits on there. Like literally, it's just beautiful. All right, so let's go there, and then let's add some pillows on our, like, look at how simple this is, guys. All right. Oh, we have a little blanket we can have on there as well. Let's do something. I'm just going to do all the things here, guys. Oh my gosh. I mean, look how simple that is. All right. So loving that. What else can we put on here? I think that's going to be too small. Yes. Home is a feeling. Let's do that. And I do want to add, I don't know if I want to add this little girl, but I'm going to see what she looks like on here. She's cute. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to just do it. All right. So there's my little scenery. Now, let's just put this together quick and simple. All right. I am going to ink. No, I'm not going to ink the edges because this was not inked before. All right. So this here, I am going to put down flat. All right. This, because, we're going to pop up all the other elements on here. So you could definitely pop this up if you like dimension. All right, so let's put this on, and I'm going to have those kind of the feet of the bench going almost right down to our edge of the card. All right, so that's on there. All right, let's get, I love this little girl. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. All right, the pillows. So the first pillow, I'm going to put down flat. And this is this great big one. And we're going to put that kind of on the corner of our bench here. The next one we're going to pop up. And we're going to put that in the front. And now we've created this lovely dimension. All right. Do you see how easy it is to put these together? All right. Now I have this other pillow. I'm just wondering. I think I'm going to put my blanket on here. Now, the way they've designed this here, like you can have it so it looks like it's just coming off the arm of the bench here. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to glue that on. grab my tweezers here. And I don't put adhesive usually right to the edges of my elements here. So my foam adhesive I put in the center here so I could tuck that in. And now we've got this, great little cluster there. Uh-oh, I lost my other, oh, there it is. All right, so we're gonna put this guy in this corner. And then we're gonna put our little girl. All right, and we want to kind of have that above the pillows. All right, so we're going to pop her up, her and her little dear friend. And I'm actually going to do a double pop dot. I'm using thin adhesives here because I know I was going to add a lot of dimension on here. So the thin ones, when you double them up, become one regular one, if that makes sense. If you're familiar with our foam adhesives. All right, so and now she's going to sit on the bench and she's just a little bit forward of those pillows. All right. All right, super sweet. All right, I'm not sure if I want this sentiment. I don't like how the banner is, so I'm just seeing. Keep this feeling. Our story lives here. All right, and I'm just going back to see what else I can add in. Because why not? There's these cute little stockings. No, they're a little too small. All right. Don't overthink it, Brenda. This is what you're doing. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to put this aside. I forgot they're double-sided, those sentiments. All right. So if you don't like the sentiments that are on here, on the back side, they are plain. So then you can stamp your own sentiment. So I'm going to grab this one that says nature is a gift. And then I can stamp my own sentiment on there. And then I'm going to attach it right there. And then that is going to be just a lovely little card. All right. So really quick and simple. And you can use that for lots of different occasions. All right. So depending on what your sentiment is. All right. So that one I'm going to put to the side. Okay. Let's move on to this one here. All right. We've got snowflakes, mountains in there. So now what do we want to put on this one? I'm thinking we should probably put maybe one of these elements on here. Maybe that little pony. He'd be cute with the snowflakes, or the little sheep. I've got a thing for little sheep. It's just All right. Well, I'm gonna cut out. Oh, which one do I want to cut out? These are the hard decisions. All right, I'm going back to see what the rectangle ones are. See, I'm overthinking it now. Now these rectangle ones. Ooh, maybe I'll do that. Okay, I'm gonna grab this one here. It's gonna fit in there. So I'm gonna grab my paper trimmer and let's trim that one out. So I'm going right up to the edge of that frame, cutting off kind of the brown background elements. All right. All right. Look how lovely that is. All right. Nice little card topper. That's going to fit in quite nicely in there. All right. You can even put it at an angle. You know what? I'm wondering. I'm going to cut off that snowflake border just so that sits in there a little bit better. So I'm going to trim this down. All right. So I'm just going to take that outer border off just so that's a little bit more proportioned. All right. Let's ink the edges on this one. And again, you could mount this on a cardstock if you wanted to. All right, and now I'm going to add oh, that looks beautiful. Love it. Okay. Now we can go back into the book and let's just select, what do we got? I think I'm going for the little sheepy, or maybe we should do the pony. The pony would be so cute. He might be a little big. Let's go with the other guy. And this is what I love about this, is just because of all the different sizings of everything and the fact that they're double-sided as well. So we can, yeah, he's a little bit better there. I think we need some snowflakes. Threes, and I'm just double checking what else I might be able to add. You know what, this little boy is really cute too. I might change my mind now. No, I'm gonna save that tree. I know what I'm gonna do now. Okay, so we've got the little sheep. And we're gonna add a little bird, I think. And let's look at a sentiment. Quiet kind of joy. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of these ones that are blank, and then we can do our own little sentiment on there. And that one is quite nice. Just wondering if I should put a little tag in here too. All right, let's just see how this all works now. Let's switch these around. All right, so there we go. We've got ample space for a little sentiment here. And you could change up the animal if you wanted to. I just like the little sheep. I think he's cute. All right, so let's get this all down now. I'm happy with that. Think I'm going to remember how that all went? Probably not. All right, so let's keep spacing top to bottom the same. And we're going to ink these elements. And I'm going to pop the hole because I might put some thread in there afterwards. And we're going to stick that in. Oh, you know what? I'm going to pop this one up. This is actually the one I'm going to put a sentiment on. I should have done that before I did this, but that's okay. I can rip it off. That's what I do best there. All right, and then we're going to put the snowflakes. And I mean, that is a quick and simple card. I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon on there, on that little hole, so that we create some more texture. I lost my other snowflake. There it is. So there is a second layered card. I mean, simple. All right. And again, sentiment over there. I mean, really quick and simple. All right. 2 cards done. Let's continue on. All right. Let's do this one here with the beautiful birch trees here. Let's go to our pad again. And this one here, I think I want to use this girl. All right. Now, I probably will end up cutting her legs off, which sounds horrible, but because we don't have the base of the trees here, I just want to have that. But look how beautiful she looks, all right, on there. And we might add a few of the smaller snowflakes, smaller ones here. Let's do 3 of those. And there is also a little birds that maybe I can find a small one and put it in the tree. Let's see if this guy. Yeah, I'm going to put that on the tree. And then we just need a little sentiment. And then that one will be done. I mean, really simple. All right, so we have home is peace and silence. I'm going to do hold this moment because it just seems appropriate with her holding the bunny. All right, so let's just go ahead and build this up now. I am going to ink the edges of her. She is just, and remember, I'm going to cut off her legs. I'm just going to cut them off. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's go ahead. And again, I'm having her face into the trees. If you wanted her facing the other way, you could definitely just flip that around. All right, then we have the little bird. Now, before I put the bird, I just want to get my placement. Maybe I should have the bird. Well, maybe I won't have the bird. And then the snowflakes. All right, look how easy that was. All right, so let's go ahead. I omitted the bird because where I wanted the bird, the branch was there. And now I need to put my little sentiment on there. So it didn't work. We'll just... All right, and then this one is really done. And then we're going to do our easel card. So you can see how quick and simple these books are. I mean, you want like quick and simple cards, easy peasy. It's all about layering. All right, you have that focal point, add a sentiment, a few little embellishments, and then it is kind of complete. All right, so there is our 3rd card. And again, like you can add even more to this using glaze and glue, a little bit of clear stickles. All right, but there is card number 3. All right, now let's do our easel card. Maybe I'll use a bird on here. All right, let's go. I really want to use those polar bears. Will it look weird that the polar bears are sitting outside on an armchair? No, I don't think so. I think it'd be fun. All right, so there is, I think I'm using that. Although I liked this little boy with the Christmas tree as well. But I just don't know if that Christmas tree is going to fit in there nicely. So, okay, well, I'm going to look at these geese too. I mean, there's so much to choose from here. I'm going to be popping all this stuff. Oh, the geese might be kind of fun. I'm going with the polar bears because that is what my cold season warm hearts. Let's do that. And let's just do it. All right, so I know it looks a little weird, but it will be fine. It will be fine. All right, so I'm going to pop this guy up. And you got to be careful when you're doing this a little bit where your foam adhesive is. You don't want it going past the fold. And then once I have this one done, we're going to move on to the other one. And then we're going to just create with that one. All right, so let's just put that in the, I'm going to move that over. I want that little tree to be kind of. All right, so let's put that kind of sticking up like so. And then there was this little blanket with hot chocolate. I think that would be really, really cute in the background. And that one I'm going to go flat. And you're just building your little cluster and scenery. All right, so there is that. Is there anything else I want on here before I move on? All right, so I think that is good for the outside. So when your recipient gets it, they're going to go this, and then we want it to stick up like this. So I usually use another element and I pop it up to keep that up. All right, so I think I'm going to use a little portrait of the, and let's put, all right, I'm going to go ahead and do this now. All right. So these elements, I can put another little sentiment in the circle. Let's do my stamping. All right. I'm going to put this one flat. And I'm going to put that kind of right there. And then I have the little portrait of the family, the polar bear family. And this one I'm going to pop up. Okay, this creates the stopper for the easel, so that that edge has something to lean up against. All right, so I'm just going to create a little cluster here, and you can see that's now holding that up. And is there anything else I want to put there before I, where's that little stocking? I'm going to put that little stocking there. All right, so I just created a little cluster there. This one is going to go down flat. All right, and there is that. All right, so super fun. All right, let me just tidy up these. And there's so many elements still left that you're going to be able to continue creating, building up those sceneries, and just keep on creating. All right, so let me just get this all back in, and I'm going to pass this off to Michelle. All right, so before I go on to the next book, I'm going to bring all my little cards back. So in less than, 40 minutes, we now have created 4 lovely cards ready to go. I'm gonna put this on just because I'll lose it. And that's for my little sentiment here. I can still stamp that afterwards. Okay. All right. So 4 really quick and simple cards using the Focus Points junk journal. That's the smaller one. This is the white Christmas one. All right. So really quick and simple. And I'll finish them up off. I'll try to get sentiments on there and then take pictures. All right. So let's go ahead and do the, and I'll post these ones as well. All right. Because those are using the same collection as well. All right. So all right, let's do Winter Magic now. And let's create some cards with this one here. So again, lots of goodness and going on with all the papers, the stickers, and the pop-up embellishments. Where do I start on this? Oh my gosh. Okay, I am going to use this paper, so I'm going to peel this one out. I like those little toppers, and I like this background here. And we'll come back to those. And I'm going to use a postcard as a base as well. So how many cards do you want to do, guys? Maybe 4 again? That's 8 cards. All right, let's use this one. Okay. So again, weird sizing. You can choose whatever cards you want. Okay, I'm going to start with just cutting out one of the postcards. All right, so I'm just going to cut down the middle of this one here. And I'm just going to keep a little bit of that kind of bluey border around my postcard. Now, this is an odd size. Now, this is going to be measuring 5.5 by 3 3/4. So not, I'm going to make this probably into a 5x7 card because it's not going to be our typical A2 card. So I'm going to leave that there. So let's put this over here. And the other thing I want to cut out now is I'm going to take one of these little card toppers and I might take 2 of these. So all right, let's just trim this in half. And I'm going to take this one here. Actually, I'll just take these 2 bottom 2. All right. Now I may trim these down smaller. I'm just going to get them. We're going to use this. So this one I'm going to use the front side. This one I'm going to use the back side. All right. So, okay. And then we have these guys here. All right. So let's start with an A2 card. And I'm going to just, oh, that's a beautiful. Now I'm going back to that postcard paper because we have this guy here. All right. So I'm going to cut an A2 panel from here. So this is going to be 4. Sorry guys, I know I'm kind of all over the map, but that's just my way my brain is working right now. Okay. So again, you want to leave that. That's a great little focal point or background. All right. So we have this now as an A2. All right. And I'm going to trim this out with scissors because it's not a perfect rectangle. And we'll use that as a layering piece. I'll probably end up roughing the edges of this, so I'm not too concerned if this is perfectly cut out. Now, I do like the junk journal a little bit better than the focal point ones, all right? And that's just because there's more to choose from, all right? So, but I do know the bigger books can be a little overwhelming because there's just so many choices, all right? So, but the junk journal ones, the larger one, oh my gosh, there's so much in here. And if you do so much paper crafting, whether you're a card maker and you make lots of cards, it's going to be a perfect way of, doing quick and simple cards. One book is going to give you so many cards, all right? And easy cards, even though they look like complicated cards, they're not, all right? So this is going to go on here. I'm going to grab a card base. running out of card faces. I need to make some more. All right. And again, I could probably use cream, but I don't think this is a perfect size. 4 1/4. No. Okay, so this is going to go on here. And then this is going to go on here. All right, so that's going to be kind of a first little bit here. All right, then I have the postcard. And now this one here I was going to make into a 5 by 7. So I'm going to grab this one here. And we're going to mount this on like so. This is going to be our base. So let's cut that as a 5 by 7. So 5 this way. Actually, I'm going to do 4 3/4. And then I can mount it on my card front by 6 3/4. And that's going to frame onto a nice 5 by 7. Okay. So that's going to go here, and then that is going to get centered in, and I'll probably put it at an angle. All right. So we have those two. All right. Then we're going to do this one here. So I'm going to trim this one out a little bit better. I'm going to go right up to the blue edge here. Okay, and let's do this as, you want to do this as an easel card again? I'm going to show you this one. So this little guy measures 3 5/8 by 3 5/8. All right, so if we do this as a 4 by 4 card, all right, so let me just grab another piece of cardstock. I love doing easel cards. All right, so let's do this as a 4 by 4. So we need to cut, you can do it this way, 4 by 8. 4 by 8. All right, then we're going to score this in half at 4. And then that front panel, which is going to be our easel, we're going to score that in half, which is then 2. All right, so that takes care of that. There's our easel. This will fit on here. We're going to put another border on here now. So I'm going to go back into my, which one do I want? I'm going to do this one. We're going to do this as a 4 by 4. And we need 2 of these. So let's do it this way. Four by 4. And this will make sense in a second. All right. So these here are going to be the inside, and I'm not leaving a border on here. And this one is going to go on the front side, and then this is going to get framed in there. All right. So okay, so that one is done. All right, and then we have, you know what, I'm going to use this. We're going to trim this down. I might only do 3 cards with this one then. Oopsie, that. All right. All right, that's going to go on the inside. Okay, we're going to do 3 cards just because of time. But all right, let's work on this one here. All right, so 4 by 8 card, scored in half at 4, and then at 2, and this is going to become our easel. All right, so this is going to, one of the 4 by 4s is going to go in the inside. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that. Now you could frame this in. I could have made this into a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and then I could have had a little white edge. All right, and then this one here is going to go on the front here. Okay, and again, you only want to put adhesive in that bottom quadrant. All right. And I did not score this very well. I mean, crisp up those folds. All right. So this becomes our card. Now, this piece here, we're going to frame in and making sure the scroll is going the right way, right on there. Now, I'm going to rough this one up. All right, and I really wanted to pop it up, but I'm just going to glue this on. All right, so we're going to just frame that in. Beautiful. And then this one here is going to be on the inside, and that's where you can put your verse and your signage and all that. So it just, I love the fact that on one side, like I could definitely use that side as well, but I'm going to use this one, and it just kind of mimics the same shape. And it gives you real estate there to do your verse, sentiment, signage. We'll still put an element on there to create that pop-up feature. Okay. All right, and this is going to glue right here into the center of our easel card. Okay, so our card front, card base is done on this one. We'll pick out the elements in a second. Okay, let's go back to this first one here and let's put our elements down. All right, again, we're just creating our card front here. This is an A2 panel. So this is just on white cardstock, A2 panel. All right, and then this guy, I'm just going to have up here. Now I'm going to pop this one up. Now, again, when I layer this kind of stuff on, I always keep my adhesives towards the center because then I can tuck things in. All right. Remember, we have stickers in this, we have die cut elements. So I want to keep those foam adhesives or whatever adhesive I'm using to the center for those tuckable moments, as I call them. So okay. And this one here, we're going to just put at an angle. You want to be able to see those florals. All right, there is card number 2 ready to go. And then we have our postcard. This one I'm going to do a little inking on here. And like I said, this one will go on a 5x7 card, a little bit bigger. Okay, and let's ink the edges of this one. And again, I'm going to, no, I'm not going to pop. I'm just going to put my adhesive in the center. All right, we're going to put this at an angle. I'm going to go shift it to the left-hand side. All right, there is our third card. All right, so let's now pick the different elements for this. I'm going to go back to that lovely book. Okay. We don't need the pattern paper. All right, so I'm going to start with the punch out elements and then we'll come back to stickers. All right, so we've got this lovely tree, which I'm loving. Although the birds are really nice too. Oh, you know what? There's these ones here. I want to do something from here. Okay, let's go ahead and pick one of these little ornaments. Oh, there's borders on here too. Love that. All right, I might just cover up that little bird because, all right, I don't know which ornament I want. I think I want the pink one. All right, go for your, all right, let's do that. All right, and now I shouldn't work on these all at the same time. Okay, let's just focus on one here. I was thinking the tree on there, but I like, oops, I just ripped that tree. I wasn't being very careful. No, he's gonna be a little too big. All right, so that solves that problem. All right, so we're gonna do that ornament there. And now we're going to take some of the florals and I'm going to build this kind of ornament up. And create a little cluster there of florals. So I'm just going to pull out some of these little florals and we'll create a lovely little cluster. I don't know if I'm using these all, but that gives me lots of wonderful stuff to work with. All right. Oh, there's little postage stamps. I think we need to use one of those. And then we have sentiments as well. I think we need something over here. So, all right. So let's start building here. I'm going to grab my ribbon in a second. All right. I need to ink this because I started with inking. I've lost my little ink applicator tool. There it is. Okay, let's pop this up again, keeping those foam adhesives to the center. All right, and I'm going to place that kind of in this bottom corner. Okay, I want to get this postage stamp in there as well. And I'm going to glue that down. I'm not putting it where it should be, where it says, because where it says place one stamp here, just because I know I'm going to have florals there. So I'm just going to put it kind of there. All right. I'm going to grab ribbon. Yes. And let's do something there. My big ribbon collection. It's not very glamorous, but we've got this nice little baker's twine. I think that will work. Yep. It's got a little gold in it and a stain of ink. And, all right, so let's just cut a length of that. I'm going to do just a bow. I think I'm going to do a bow. That may change after I see my bow. No, I think we're okay. It's not going to be pretty. Oh, I had that stain. Must have had an ink. All right. Okay, it doesn't look pretty now, but once we get our foliage in there, it will look much better, I promise. Just trim those down a little bit or adjust them. Okay, good enough. Okay, let's go ahead now and add some of this lovely foliage now. The fun part, it's always like me when I'm creating with florals, I'm just like in my element. All right, what else do I got here? I got this little guy. Don't know if I love that twine in there, but it is what it is, guys. Limited choices here. Okay. Oh, I have another little cluster here as well. All right, and that may help. That may help. Just go for it. All right, let's stick that right in there. All right, so we've got this lovely layered cluster there. All right, easy peasy. The twine doesn't look so bad in there. All right, now we need more elements on this. All right, so now I'm going to go into those lovely stickers. All right, let's see what we have that we can create. There's this lovely little present. So this is just going to give us different texture. I'm going to just vary. These are a little bit thinner, so you have to be a little bit more gentle. But they're just going to create some more background information, help with the background. So I'm just going to put that, and I'll hold that up to the camera. All right. So you can see, it just adds another little element there. All right. And then, all right, these are the die cut. I'm going to go flip to the other stickers. There's snowflakes. Nah, I don't think I want any of this stuff. Doo-doo. All right, I'm going back to the sentiments here. And I'm going to steal one of these little roses, I think. And I'm going to put that down here. Just picked up one of the sentiments, a special wish for you, and I'm going to put that kind of at the bottom. I'm going to overlap that sticker. And I'm going back now to the stickers in the front and seeing if there's anything else I'd like to add. There is cute little bows. I need something in the middle of this. So I'm just wondering if this poinsettia would be a lovely choice. And again, I want to ink. I'm wondering if he's a little big now. Yeah, he's a little big. But I'm going to use that poinsettia. Because I didn't glue that, I can now stick that right there, and we've just added another element there. And now I'm going to go, this little guy will fit nicely in our postage stamp. I just realized the time. I'm having way too much fun, guys. Way too much fun. All right, so let's go stick that into the postage stamp there. All right, and I'm going to call that one done. I think we need something here, but again, you could put a little sentiment there. I'm wondering if I take another ornament. I don't like that pink there. Doo-doo. All right, I'm gonna call that one finished for now. All right, but there we go. We're gonna add some little glitter on there, and then that one is done. All right, let's move on to this guy here, our easel card. And what do we want? I think we need to have these. Oh, these birds would be lovely, I think. Oh, yeah. All right. So there's that. I think we need to have a little bit of foliage. Now, I think I'm going to rely on the stickers for that. I don't know if we need much more. I'm going to just flip through and just see. There's little labels here, and we'll use that on the inside. So I think probably let's do this one here. That will be our stopper. And let's do a little star. Magic Christmas. And now we're going to go to the front. And go through the stickers over here. Yes, foliage. Okay, perfect. All right, let's just do this. All right, this one I don't have to worry about inking because I didn't do that. So I'm going to go ahead, stick my foam adhesives on here, and we're going to put this a little bit to the corner here. Cute little birdies. And now I'm going to grab, I think, this foliage sticker here. Being careful not to rip it. And now I'm going to stick this behind them. And we're just adding a little bit more to the goodness. All right. So, all right, then we can do Magic Christmas. I'm going to pop that up. This one doesn't need lots. I mean, the beauty of the papers, the beauty of the ephemera, just like, you don't have to do much. That's what I love. Oh, take the backings off. That's what I love. All right, move that up just a little. Well, maybe not. It's stuck on there. It's got to move up. All right. I want to add a little dimension up in this corner. So I'm going to see if I can find one of those little florals. I can do a, oh, there, that is the one I want. And we're going to pop that one up just to give it a little dimension in that top corner. We're just going to layer that on, and that just really, look out, quick and simple, guys, quick and simple. All right, now we're going to open this up. Like I said, we're going to use this as our stopper. All right, and we're going to pop that up, and then I'm going to add some florals. I'm sorry, I'm going back because I want to see what the other color was. No, I'm going to go with the blue one. Because I can. All right. That's not the one I want. All right, so this is going to become our stopper, and this is where I would have my little sentiment. All right, so I just put that upside down, making sure that is straight. That becomes our stopper, and then I had this cute little star as well, which I think we're going to put up there. And then I'm going to put a little gemstone in there. Okay. And then on here, I'm going to go back to the stickers. I want to go back to those kind of floral stickers and add just a floral. All right, so let's go with this one here. And it just kind of ties in the top. I'm going to stick that kind of right there. And now that one is done. And I'm going to add a little bit of gems and stickles on there. But look how pretty that is. All right, last one. And then I got to call it quits because, all right, so let's see what we got here. Let's do some of the animals on here. The deer. Oh, the deer. Or no, I'm going to do the nutcracker. Love the nutcracker. Okay. So we have two nutcrackers here. Well, one is a nutcracker, one is a soldier. So, oh goodness. All right, let me just see what the stickers are as well. One would think. All right, so we've got he's pretty big. Maybe I go with the other one. Because I popped that up, I can't use that. He's too big. If I had put it flat, I would have been fine. All right, so let's just continue on, seeing what else I want to do. I just didn't like those two. The one with a soldier, he's more realistic than the other one. So, all right, so I'm going to go back with the deer then. We're going back to the animals. Although the skates, maybe the skates. Oh my God, do you see how wonderful this is? All right, I'm doing the skates because I think that's going to fit nicely on that card. Yes, look how lovely they look on there. All right, then I'm going to grab some of these florals. And so it's really important that you get yourself a folder because you can see with tearing these books apart, the pieces that start falling out and such. So, all right, let's just go with this. And I'm going to pop this one up. We're going to attach that on here, and I ripped it. So I've got to fix my little whoopsie here. I wasn't being gentle. Okay. And now I'm just going to go back and let's kind of do a little sentiment, something over in that area. And that might work there. Warm wishes to you, that might work. And I'm just wondering, this cute little border. I love that there's so much goodness in here. Borders, sentiments, labels, tags. So much. All right, I'm trying to cover up that bird. Can you tell? All right, so that may work. All right, let's just go for that. No one will know that it's a bird underneath there. I am going to pop this up. And then we need a little bit on the other side here. So I am just going to cut just a little piece there. I'm making sure that it is kind of all in line. All right, pretty, pretty. All right, and then warm wishes to you. And then finally, I'm just going to go and just look at stickers really, really quickly and see how there's these lovely little guys. And I'm just going to add. one there, and one there. That verse sentiment strip is not very straight. One there. And I think, guys, that one is complete. I'm just going to double check my little, they had beautiful snowflakes on here as well. But I think I'm just going to end it there. I think. Yep, I'm just going to end it there. All right, so let me just bring my 3 cards from this collection out. Really quick and simple cards. The worst part of it is the overthinking that I am doing. All right, but an A2 card, a 5x7 card, and then a little 4x4 easel card. I'm going to add the extra little gems and stickles and glossy accents on all the cards, and then I'll post them on our Facebook page so you can take a look. But guys, check out those lovely junk journal books from Stamperia. They are just full of goodness. I can't even show you the covers because I've cut them apart, but just full of goodness. All right. So there again are 2 sizes. We've got the large size that's going to have the stickers in there. And then you're going to have the smaller size, which is called the focus points, which is just going to be backgrounds and ephemera. But both are equally awesome. The smaller one is for those that seem a little overwhelming, or that find this a little overwhelming. Start small. But for those that want to dive right in, grab yourself one of those from Stamperia. They are awesome. And again, you can have so much fun. There's so many different themes out there from Stamperia. You can find them on our website. And there's Christmas. There is a Halloween one still. There's a family one, a baby one. There's a nice, cool, like space kind of steampunk one, which is awesome. But check them out because they make really just fun projects. All right, so I'm going to gather up all my little goodies here. I'm going to put it in a little container, and I'm going to pass it on to Michelle. And then I'm going to ask her in an upcoming mixed media mashup to do some art journaling pages to show you how you can use these as well. So stay tuned for part 2 of this kind of little series, and you can see what kind of goodness that she creates. All right, everyone, that is it for me this evening. Thanks for joining me or watching me on the rewatch. Until next time, everyone, have yourself a great night. Talk to you soon. Bye.